Hey everybody, we're the Jersey Comic Krew, and we are going to be talking about the Square Enix conference from E3 2019 right now. So definitely stay tuned. We're about to start.
Right now.
So, as we're going into Square Enix,
Yeah.
forgot one thing.
What did we forget?
We were talking about the fact that, certain games that we saw last year or the year before, we didn't see this year.
Yeah. We mentioned that before.
Ubisoft had a huge game that was not around this year that was around last year, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, with the monkey, man.
Yes.
That monkey was so cool. We saw the gameplay last year.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It's basically a reboot to the franchise. It's the first one made after 20-something years. Huge following for the first one.
Yeah.
People love it. It's a very odd game with the talking animals and
I'm down.
characterization.
Yeah.
Animals talking, I know. But it was a very odd game in that weird spectrum of looked great graphically, looked great as far as the space stuff and the storyline and the huge ship, the fighting stuff. Saw nothing this year.
Well, it's maybe because Jonathan Berthall came with the cute pitbull puppy, and they were like, "All right, too many animals. We can't have too many animals."
Again, I'm not a fan of showing something and then the next year just skipping the whole thing. Especially they showed it not just one but 2 years in a row. They showed the teaser 2 years ago in 2017. Last year they showed the big cinematic trailer. This year you would expect at least gameplay or some type of update.
Maybe they're just it's so much work they don't have an update.
Maybe. But yeah, that was a little bit disappointing as far as hey, this is a huge game. You would expect them to talk about it. But anyway, we're going head deep into the Square Enix conference.
Yes.
Which was Monday night.
Yes.
And that was one of the, in my opinion, Rob, I think you have the same opinion as me, one of the worst conferences.
Yes.
Sorry, Final Fantasy fans.
I didn't like a lot of the stuff they put out, but they started off with a bang, right? They started with the remake of Final Fantasy VII, the biggest Final Fantasy game, well, arguably, out there. Everybody loves it.
Biggest following.
You have Cloud, you have Tifa, you have Sephiroth is in this. You have so many good characters in this.
And it's one of those games that
looks beautiful.
Looks great. We know Final Fantasy fans have played this game to death over and over again.
I've actually never played it.
I haven't either because I'm not a big Final Fantasy game fan. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
My first one was 10, I think.
Oh, really?
I played 10, and then I played 13. I didn't play 14.
Interesting. There's so many now. It's really hard to get into anyway. But the Final Fantasy VII Remake does come out March 3rd next year.
Well, I mean, it's also a good
PS4
jumping on
exclusive.
point. Like they said, you could jump on not knowing anything about Final Fantasy and jump and play.
Totally.
And you'd be good. They're also making Final Fantasy VIII, the remastering.
Yeah, the remastering 8 for this year.
Yes.
But it's in its same original style, not the way they've done 7.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying, if you wanted to start, you could read 7. Then you could do 8.
You could.
And then it'd be all good to go. I've also played X2.
Okay.
But I haven't really touched any. I played the one with Lightning, which was 13, which was fun. But, them remaking 7 and 8 gives people a new chance to join everything, which is great.
Yeah, and it's already a huge franchise.
Huge.
Massive. And it's one of those things, I don't think they're running out of ideas as far as, what to do next, because you could always do something with a weird-ish kind of system
I don't think they have the pull like they think they do.
Yeah.
And I heard there was a lot of issues with 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge following, but it's also a very, it's a mix between a huge following and a cult following.
Yes.
Right? For Final Fantasy, either you, love Final Fantasy and you play, almost every game, or you just never got into it. There's not really a middle ground.
You know what it is? And especially with people who are fans of Final Fantasy, think of, the Star Wars, think of, the Luke Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
Think of Luke Skywalker as Cloud, right? All we want to do is play with Cloud.
You're comparing the all-savior of Luke Skywalker to fucking Cloud. This is awful.
A lot of people argue Cloud here. Cloud is definitely
wait. Not.
I would say on record on this show, Cloud is cooler than Luke Skywalker.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Luke Skywalker's out.
Get off of this show.
He's not the best.
You're saying that based on movies made in the 70s. You're just saying that because of Cloud flips with a unrealistically giant sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. You flip with an unrealistic laser sword.
Can be made. We just can't stop the beam from going into the infinity. Realistic.
They have made the Cloud sword realistic.
I'm sure they have. No one can pick it up, but sure.
You strong people can.
Sure no
Cloud can. Anyway. But people want to focus around that storyline, and then they did it for a little bit, and then we're like, all right, now we're moving on to other shit, and we're like, oh, wait. Huh? That's
Well,
what
yeah.
I think it is.
I mean,
As someone who has lacked super in-depth knowledge
and
of
Final Fantasy VII, like as we know, is one of the more popular titles.
yeah. I know we talk comic book lingo.
We talk comic book lingo all the time. But it's one of the more bigger titles coming out, like we said, May 3rd next year for PS4 exclusive. I know the Final Fantasy fans are more than happy to have this back in their library, even if it's redone, remade. But it's not like Final Fantasy VIII, as they revealed, is being remade, but in its own style remaster.
Yes.
It's more remastering. This is a remake.
Correct.
But yeah, that's really all I have for Final Fantasy because I'm not into the series.
They're making Dragon Quest for the Switch, which is nice.
That's
Building
good.
up the
Yeah,
roster.
that's good for the Switch's library. Dragon Quest is like a Nintendo-esque title anyway.
Yes.
It's primarily Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 40 of them on 3DS at one point. There was like so many.
I never got
into Dragon Quest either. To me, it was like, sorry, Dragon Quest fans, but to me, it was like the lesser, more complicated Zelda.
Yeah, no, that's a
you know what I mean. If that's
a
fair,
depth way to put it.
But I know it's unique in its own ways, and people love it. So I'm sure it's good for Switch.
We do got big news.
What?
Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC.
Dude, it's big and not at the same time for me.
Why is it not big?
See, this is weird because you're saying it's big news, yet I like the game more than you did.
Yeah.
Yet you didn't like the game, but you like the DLC apparently more than I do.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
I'm excited. Maybe it's going to fix the shitty game.
I don't think it was shitty. I just think it was...
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was shitty. I just think it was very...
lackluster,
I guess it was a little shorter than I'd like.
Shorter.
But I think the DLC, it's called Remind. It's coming out this winter, so that's 2019. The way I see it is it's basically the same thing you've played, but from different character perspectives.
We should have been able to do that from the game.
And I agree with you 100%. But that's why
I should have been able to play as Riku more.
But that's why I'm not excited about it as much as everyone else is, because I'm like, all right, this isn't really new. This is just stuff like, all right, we maybe played.
They might be like, it has to be like 1 or 2 new cutscenes.
There has to be we played 2 levels with Riku.
Yeah.
And 1 with Aqua.
Yeah.
Ventus we didn't play as or Roxas.
But I gotta play as Roxas. I gotta play as all of them. It'd be cool. Can you fight as King Mickey? Oh, you're done for, biatch!
But I don't see this as a real DLC, as more of an expansion pack.
Okay.
If that's fair to say. Because it's more like expanding on the ending.
Well, to be fair,
than really adding new content.
It is downloadable content. Doesn't necessarily mean new.
True.
It's just the word.
Expansion packs are downloadable content.
It's not DLNC, downloadable new content. It's just DLC, just content, more about the game.
Like regardless, it's a very odd,
addition.
Very Kingdom Hearts thing to do.
Yeah, because I hate that shit.
I hate the
I don't know
rewind.
why. Oh, read this, read that.
Remix.
Why don't you just do it right the first time?
Yeah,
don't redo it.
Like Kingdom Hearts, I mean, this is the first time I think Kingdom Hearts has had DLC.
Yes, it is.
Right?
It is.
So it's interesting to see, but again,
that means they were like, oh wait, we should put
hold
this
back
stuff
on this
out.
and this and this, and we'll get more money later.
Is it paid or is it free?
I'm guessing it's paid. Everything's paid in this world, unfortunately. But that's one of them. I'll obviously get it, but I won't be happy about it until I see what's in it.
All right.
You know what I mean? If it's if I'm paying just
it has to deal with the whole Zigbar stuff at the end.
That's great, but I don't want to pay for DLC to watch cutscenes. I want to pay for DLC to play new content.
Oh, I'm 100% fine with paying $10 for just cutscene and 20 minutes of cutscene.
Why couldn't they just put that in the game?
Because they are selfish.
It doesn't make sense. But anyway, it's one of those things where I need a little more info on it. Obviously, it's a DLC, so it's not going to be there's 20 hours worth of stuff. It's just going to be added on. It's probably going to be 3 hours worth of stuff.
I'm sure. Not even that long.
If that. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC was one of the better things. Life is Strange 2 was very interesting.
What was Life is Strange 2?
It was the sequel to Life is Strange 1.
Oh, it's like that indie game.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, he thinks it's so funny.
Look at that.
He's not. He's not.
Pretty funny.
But that's the sequel, right? Where and the emotional story, you watch it as the kid develop powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, the very emotional story.
And there's a bunch of streamers and stuff who played it. It looks good, interesting.
Yeah, it's not one I would probably play, but more watch.
You'd watch it.
I would say it's not really on my list of things to play, but that was interesting. Outriders I thought was pretty interesting as well.
That had a cool trailer.
Very cool trailer. Very thought-provokingly, got me to the point where it's like, I want to know more.
Aliens attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of look like a giant demigorgon at the end, just standing up. And he's like, that's how he talks. All monsters talk like that.
I mean,
anybody who tells you differently is a fucking liar.
Not very scary.
Not all monsters are scary, Chris.
It's like at the end of Shining. It's just like, he's cutting through the door.
It's like, it's more me.
But yeah, like Outriders looked interesting. Like as far as
it did, the chick looked really cool.
Like I said, thought provoking. Like I want to know more.
I think you're gonna be able to play as either one of the three. Because remember when she was laying down in the pod and like it phased out, phased in, phased out, phased in.
You think you can play?
I think those are 3 playable characters.
That'd be interesting.
I think, and we're
little
gonna find
co-op
that out.
action.
Yeah, we're gonna find that out next year, obviously.
Yeah. That didn't have a date. It was just a trailer.
And just like, oh, this is a cool trailer. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then obviously we mentioned that Final Fantasy VIII is being remastered for this year. No official date, but it will be 2019. Obviously the biggest thing that Rob and I want to talk about for Square Enix, especially since it bleeds through the realms of comics and lore and all things Marvel, was Marvel's Avengers. That was shown at the end of this. We knew going into E3 that this was Square Enix's big game.
I was so excited.
Same.
Before this came out. Before I saw the trailer. I was
too.
hyped. I'm like, all right, Avengers trailer. Here we go. We're getting the game. We just saw Endgame.
Well, I'm not necessarily unexcited. I'm
disappointed.
Disappointed in what we got based on... I think the progression was done the right way, though, right? We got a very small, like... teaser-esque trailer last year, which was just like all the weapons kind of all over the place. This year we got a big like kind of cinematic trailer of the big as in like action-y cinematic trailer of what was happening. Like I said, going into E3, this was on the top of the list as far as big time games being talked about.
Yes.
It was this for me it was this Star Wars and like Nintendo stuff. Because Sony
really all I wanted to see was Star Wars and this
and whatever
everything
else surprising. Cyberpunk was a happy accident.
Yes.
And
just like you were. No,
you're not wrong.
They weren't happy.
No one's happy.
Very upset.
But that was good. So Marvel's Avengers, I
wrote
will
it 3
say,
years ago.
I've been waiting for this joke 3 years.
3 years in the making.
But so. They did announce that there will be a single-player campaign, which was not really talked about, explained, shown.
Yes.
There will be a co-op, which was not talked about, shown, or explained, and a multiplayer, which was talked about but not explained.
Or shown.
The date for this is May 15th, 2020, and I will say the graphics do not look good.
So let me explain that statement for you guys a little bit more, because I think you're right, but you're wrong in the statement. Instance. But first, let's tell them.
I'm right, but I'm wrong. Yes. I'm wrong, but I'm right.
So this takes place after 8A, which is going to be the setup of the West Coast Avengers headquarters
in San Francisco.
Yes,
that's a fun name to say.
Is it
Francisco?
No. Okay.
Really?
So
Anchorman? Nothing.
No. Anyway,
pop culture.
So a group of like thieves come in and take the new technology, the Terrigen technology.
That's in their helicarrier?
Well, they were moving it. It's powering the headquarters.
That's right.
So I guess they got it somehow before then. Caused a huge explosion. Apparently, Avengers caused more harm than good. Very incredible storyline.
And Captain America apparently dies.
Yeah.
In the helicarrier crash. With
he's not
explosion.
dead. I'm going to let you know that right now. He's not dead.
He's not
dead. Just pretending to be dead. So that way he could come back and be a big reveal.
Yep.
We know that there's going to be a lot of other characters roster growing. All free, which is great to hear.
That was probably the best thing to hear, that all the character expansion is free.
So it's going to have an ever-changing roster of Avengers, which makes sense, right? You want to be able to play as all of them.
People were actually like screaming about like, where's Hawkeye in this?
Yeah, because Hawkeye went from here. Sorry, you went from here. People can't see
Explain what here is. Like down low.
Oh yeah, for people.
Like 1 to 10, like a 2.
Like a -5 to a 12.
I don't think Hawkeye was ever at a -5. I think he was like a 5.
He was at a 0 and went to a 10.
Well, when everyone else is at like a 20, a 5 is
fair enough.
But like
So they were screaming, "Where's Hawkeye?" They're like, "Oh, we got out of Hawkeye." This was before that movie.
I think like what you were explaining, right? Like
storyline.
The storyline from what we hear sounds like an Avengers storyline.
Yes.
We know it's also their own storyline that's written. It is not based on officially like a single storyline in the comics.
So don't ask us if we know what's happening because we don't.
Because we really don't. It's an original storyline.
But I can tell you because I figured it out.
We can speculate, and it's also based on. It's not based on just the movies. Like when seeing how Tony Stark looked in there, I was like, "You're not Robert Downey Jr.
You're Guy Fieri."
Like you're completely different.
Black Widow, you're not. You're Lord Farquaad.
You guys are fucked.
So it is not. The graphics look good. It's the character models because Hulk looks fine, a little off. But
I
like
think
the
Bruce
graphics,
Banner almost looks too sexy. Like he's too well put together to be the Hulk.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? Like and it's very like it's also very close to like how Mark Ruffalo like
Kinda.
like purple shirt, the khakis, the belt. Like it's
Thor
very
looked
close.
off.
Did he? He wasn't fat.
No, his face.
I mean,
so like I think it's the character models, the background scenery, and them running around and doing stuff like that looked fine. But like when you look at Spider-Man 4 to this, it's like, all right, I saw Taskmaster in this. You saw him for the 2 seconds.
Taskmaster was a big highlight of this. Yeah,
he looked like crap compared to what he looked like in Spider-Man 4. Right,
the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Yeah, he looked fantastic in that. And this, I was like, what?
I think because it's still a year away.
I think they have to change it.
I think they have to change it. I think they're still a year away. They're going to have to update the graphics
immensely.
And I will say this: like
Widow's hair looks so stiff it even flow in the wind.
But like watching the trailer for this, I wasn't like focused on like, hey, how hot is Black Widow? I was focused on like what's going on. But then like once I started seeing the memes of like the Lord Farquaad. How she looked, I was like, you fuckers are terrible, but not wrong. Like,
as soon as I watched the trailer, how their faces looked took me out of it completely, like so hard.
Yeah.
And you know me, I am very much.
I thought Cap wasn't that bad.
He was alright.
That's not that bad.
Yeah.
But I'm interested.
Like usually, I get immersed, and like even in shitty movies, I'm like, all right, I'm in the world. You have me. Like at the end of Justice League, I was like, oh, that's not a terrible movie.
But this is surprising for a company
bad.
like Square Enix, where their graphics are usually like when they brought out Tomb Raider. Like that landscape looked amazing. The landscape looked very flat in this.
Look at
Final Fantasy VII, and that's remastered. So you're basically redoing the whole structure. I don't get how this looked so like
bad.
Not PS4, Xbox One-ish. It looked to me like this is coming out for the start of PS3 and 360.
Yes.
Right? Like it was like
this looks like
it
came
was
out 10 years ago.
Yeah. Now my other question is
what's up?
Is it possible part of the reason it looks like this is because to me, like when they did that little interview with the cast and like Troy Baker and Nolan North are there, like was it because they didn't do mocap like they do with God of War and all these other big titles? Like they did it basically like pure CGI and it wasn't as good?
You don't think they mocapped anything?
I don't.
Or does it feel like it?
It doesn't feel or look like it did. Like the movements were very like
rigid, but
like in the like all right, it makes sense in the cinematic stuff, like Hulk jumping out of the
that looked fine.
The helicarrier into like the fight, but like I was just like, dude, step this shit up. Like this is Avengers we're talking about. Endgame just made $2 billion. The Avengers are everywhere. Marvel's everywhere. Like this is the first real Avengers game that isn't Ultimate Alliance, which we'll talk about later, which looks amazing. But like this was not impressive and disappointing to the point where I'm like, fuck, man, like. What the hell?
As it stands right now,
especially with Spider-Man.
Yeah. As it stands right now, I don't know if I'm getting this game.
Well,
until they fix the.
Well, I don't. I think it's too early to say that based on it's a year out.
I can say.
I mean, you can say whatever you want, but like, I think it's too early. I think again May 15th next year. That's a year away. It's literally under a year away. So. I mean, yes, that's a lot of time. It's also not a lot of time when you're talking about video games.
I know.
If any of you have seen, again, I bring this fucking game up.
Go ahead.
The God of War documentary, that 2-hour documentary on how they made it and brought it back. Years go by like this when it comes to making games and graphics and mechanics and
yeah, for a 1-minute animation takes you like 2 hours.
And that's also God of War is a single player based around one character, arguably two characters. Avengers, you're talking about a whole slew of people.
But it does show replayability because, like, you can play from different angles of the fight, different characters, and I'm sure the story are going to be co-op, so, like, you can play with your friends.
Now, this is my biggest question, right? Let's say we're playing a single-player campaign, you and me, and we're doing co-op.
Okay.
And we want to play through something, and we're like, hey, we just got to Avengers Mansion. Loki's taking it over. We got to stop this stuff.
Oh, no!
Rob gets a call and says, hey, we need you to come to work right now. So then I'm playing this. How does that single player work? Again, no one said anything. Am I selecting one character?
Yeah.
Playing that one character throughout the entire game? Or am I selecting a character per mission?
Maybe it's for a mission.
Per mission, almost like I want to be Thor.
For this
We're in
mission.
Asgard. I want to be Thor.
Yeah.
We're at Avengers Mansion. I want to be Iron Man. Or is it I'm Iron Man through this whole game, and then I could replay it as different characters?
I don't think so. I don't think it, because that kind of ruins the fluidity of it. But what I do think, if you're starting a first player, if you're starting a co-op, right, and
you're playing with two people.
And you're playing with two people. Sorry, thank you for that. And you're playing with two people. I join in, but I have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You still continue because we're playing in your progression.
Yes.
That's what I think.
I mean, that's fine with me, but again, Square Enix is, we could arguably say Square Enix is known for their but single-player, story-based games.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether it's Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, we know Square Enix is like, hey, I'm going to get a good story out of this with some cool gameplay. And if this is kind of like this is big. They got a Disney franchise already with Kingdom Hearts, which I'm sure is why they got Avengers easier.
Yeah.
But if this is what you're doing, explain to us, especially as a different type of IP that Square Enix isn't known for as much as co-op and this choosable selection Rolodex of characters. I want to know what we're doing with each. I want to know how it's going to happen. What happens if we're both, let's say me and you start a single player campaign, right? And then one day you're like, oh, we should play co-op and try it. We start a single player campaign. I'm Captain America, you're Captain America. What happens when that jumps into co-op? Are there two Captain Americas? Or does one of us have to choose
one of us has to choose
a player?
Different.
But these are things I want to know and be confirmed.
I just told you.
I told you. No, you don't.
Now you know.
You're welcome.
You cannot be two captains. Only one. I could be Winter Soldier.
Maybe, yeah,
or I
probably.
Could be, Falcon Captain America and your regular Captain America.
That's fine. But, again, my question is I want to know more, whether it's about the single player, about the co-op, about the stuff. I just want to know more.
I understand, man. This game, you talk about other conferences supposed to be knocking it out of the park. This was supposed to be the game of E3.
Yes.
And it failed because of what it showed. It wasn't ready. It should have been next year. It should have shown me later.
Yeah, or
but I guess they had to show it what they had.
They had to. I mean, they showed nothing last year as far as that really cool. Honestly, that first trailer was way better with how good the shield looked and all this stuff. I'm like, where's this quality of graphic?
They should have just showed them coming down at Avengers Mansion and then Iron Man coming down looking a little wonky and cut it. I'm like, all right, you'll see more next year. Oh wow.
But then we would have been disappointed that we didn't see anything.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it's definitely what we call a work in progress. And yeah, that to me is Square Enix in a nutshell.
So Square Enix, the best game I saw out of Square Enix, Outriders, I guess.
I would go with Outriders.
Oh no! What am I saying? Final Fantasy VII looks gorgeous. I want to play it. I'm gonna buy it.
Final Fantasy VII looks great. I know I'm not gonna get it because I'm not that big into the franchise, but I will definitely watch someone play it because it looks badass. Me. I would watch you play it. So I would have to say, I'm obviously most excited for the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC.
Yeah, that should be nice.
Honestly, this should be like EA, right? We should just be like how we were Star Wars. That's it. That's all that matters. This is the best. This should be a clear-cut Avengers. That's it. That's all that matters. But it's not, unfortunately.
They dropped the ball.
I think so, but I think, again, they have a lot of work to do. This might be good for them, too.
This might be good.
Again, how many times have games been shown and then they come back completely different a year or two later?
I can imagine me as a...
I think what hurts them is releasing the date.
Yeah.
The fact that we know when it's coming out and you're like, holy shit, you have this much time to fix all of this. If they even do that, we'll see.
I would be... If I'm an executive at Marvel, I'm like, all right, we're winning E3. Boom. Not a chance in
100%.
hell. And then you see this quality gameplay, and then you had the whole Keanu Reeves moment. You're like, guys, I'd be firing people. I'd be like, what are we doing?
But also, like, think of it this way. Like, think of what Sony did last year.
What they do?
With that Spider-Man gameplay trailer at E3. Oh, my God,
yes. So good.
How insanely cinematic yet gameplay smooth, crisp. Activision came out and blew everyone's minds away. People were pre-ordering it left and right on the spot. Like, that's what Avengers is going to be compared to. And there's already talks of, like, hey, is that Spider-Man in this universe? Is, this going to cross over with that game in any form? Because
if this looked better, I would hope so.
I would hope so too. And because we know in the Spider-Man game, if you go by to Avengers Tower in New York, you see it, and you can go up to the door, and it's like there's like a little blurb of like, oh, they're away on some big mission, like away. This could be it. Who knows?
I really hope that in a month or two, like, hey guys, we're just kidding. Here's the real thing.
I think the closest we will get an update to this game won't even be Gamescom, which is in August.
No, it won't be.
I think the closest.
Christmas.
I think it'll be at the end of this year. Probably a new trailer like that drops on like YouTube, that has like updated stuff, maybe more storyline. My last question for you for this is:
what's up?
What do you think this story is about? As far as comics, as far as Avengers, in my mind, I'm thinking it has to do with time travel, which is very Endgame-esque. And they're going to be like, hey, don't worry, it's not like the movies. Don't worry, it's our own story. But, like, if Cap dies...
Cap's not dead.
Of course he's not. But if he is, they have the Tesseract, which to me means Cosmic Cube, which to me means Stone, which to me means Infinity Stones, which means time paradox jumping.
I think it's more...
Or is it a world without Cap?
I think it's a world without Cap, Incredibles-esque, rebuilding the Avengers name, rebuilding superheroes that people are okay with again.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very linear.
All right.
And it's going to focus more on the aspect I can play all the Avengers.
That'd be cool.
And X-Men and Fantastic Four together.
I don't know if Fantastic Four and X-Men are going to be in this.
They mentioned them.
Did they? Oh, as DLC, that's right. They're going to be add-ons for free. That'll be cool. Hopefully they look good. But, yeah, that's about wraps it up for Square Enix.
That's right.
So this is our Square Enix. Let us know, obviously, down in the comments what you guys think. And we're going to go off and talk about Nintendo next.
Yes. Stay tuned.